everyone, Boardgame Brody here with Meeple Mountain, bringing to you Dice Hospital from Alley Cat Games. Dice Hospital is a hospital simulator game where each die is a patient under your care. You'll be using your individualized boards as worker placement spots to treat your patients. When needed, you can call in specialists to help in certain situations. The player that runs their hospital in the best way to score the most points will win the game. Again, in the game, each player will be controlling their own hospital. Players will make choices of what patients to focus on healing, what staff to hire to help with patient needs, and additional departments to add to better serve the Meeple and Dice community. Each round, sick Meeples and or dice from all other games are brought to your hospital or any other player's hospital in hopes to get well to return to their board game. Each sick component is transformed into a special Dice Hospital die that is then rolled. The color shows the type of problem that the Meeple has, and the number of pips shows how severe the problem is. The lower the number, the sicker the Meeple. If the die changes below a 1, then sadly that patient becomes a fatality, and their die is changed to a fatality token and placed in the mortuary, and that player is given negative points at the end of the game. If the die changes above a 6, then that patient is discharged and well enough to go home, and can be taken back to their home game. After the dice have been rolled, they are loaded into ambulances. The sicker the patients will go into the ambulance numbered 1, with the healthier patients being loaded into the higher numbered ambulances in a crescendo pattern. Ambulances then drive to a hospital according to the draft results. The first player chooses an ambulance, excluding ambulance number 1. And in clockwise order, all other players can choose an ambulance, this time including ambulance number 1. The player who takes the lowest numbered ambulance will receive the first player token and 1 bonus blood bag. When working in your hospital during the hospital activation phase, you may use a blood bag to either heal any patient 1 pip or temporarily change the color of any patient until the end of that phase. After each player has an ambulance, patients are taken to any top space that is empty in any of the wards. If there is no room and 12 patients are in the hospital wards already, players will need to accommodate the influx and choose a patient to remove, which becomes a fatality, to accommodate these newly sick patients. Players will improve their hospitals and services by adding a new department tile or hiring a specialist from any available at that time. Players do this by ambulance number order. Each improvement will help players to heal certain patients with certain colors or numbers associated with their illness. Each hospital will send out their nurses and staff to help your patients using the hospital's available resources. Nurses and staff Meeples are placed on a department and the listed action is performed. Each action will help heal a patient, but some more than others. When a patient is treated in any way, move them to the space below in their ward so you know that they've been seen. When patients are healed to a value of 7 or more, they are immediately discharged, saving the Meeple Care money for sicker and needier patients. But these patients still need to finish paperwork and will need to wait in the discharge lounge until all forms are processed and appointments made for follow-up care. Now shame on you, you neglected to help some of your patients this round. If the patient wasn't treated in any way this round, they will still be on the top space of any of the wards. And due to your negligence, they become sicker by 1 pip. I hope you didn't leave any number 1 dice untreated, because if so, they will be changed into a fatality token and placed in the mortuary. Good news, the forms have been processed and the follow-up appointments made, and the number of discharged patients will score you an amount of points for that round. Move your color syringe on the score track. The more patients you get well and discharged, the more points per patient that you will score for your hospital. Nurses and staff are sent home to their home tile. All patients that were treated will move back up to the untreated areas of all the wards. There's a call for all ambulances to come pick up more patients to be treated at Dice Hospital. After 8 rounds, you will subtract 2 points for each fatality token in your morgue and add 1 point for each leftover blood bag token. The player with the most points wins. I like how the game isn't overly complicated. You know what choices will need to be made in the game, but some of them aren't easy to make. You really are making decisions for your own hospital, and those decisions will determine what type of patients you can treat better. Do you really want to add an additional department that focuses on those specific numbers? Or should you maybe hire a specialist that can be used in any of your departments? These decisions is what makes the game great. While making those tough decisions, I like how you can choose the severity of the patients that you accept into the hospital. If you collect more of the severe patients, then you reward yourself with better picks of your hospital growth. If you accept the healthier patients, then you can get them well sooner, but you are left with whatever upgrades that all the other players didn't want. To do well in the game, you will need to balance how you play, accepting at times some critical patients, but then on other times accepting some non-critical patients so that you can treat your patients and not end up with an overload of patients who get worse until they pass away. I enjoy the variety of departments and specialists who come into play and helps me to choose what patients I want to choose so that I can fully take advantage of all those bonuses and those upgrades that I got. This would be a great introductory game for anyone medical, as they would enjoy the theme mixed with the modern mechanics it has. If running a hospital or the medium to lightweight of this game doesn't appeal to you, then check out more of its expansions. Those might add what you are looking for, and it might open up the game for you. But again, if you're not looking for those things, then this just might not be the game for you. As for me, I love the theme with the mechanics, and this game is going to stay on my shelf for when I introduce my medical colleagues and friends into the board game hobby. Dice Hospital by Alley Cat Games is available worldwide. Hopefully, you can check it out and get it to your table. Again, this is Board Game Brody. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around and check out some other board game reviews to see what you might want to get to the table. Alright, little meeples, you are healed. Go back to your games.